Welcome to the High Vibe Nation. I'm Sherry Gideons with my co-host, Pamela Aubrey. We're here to help you raise your vibration. And how do we do that? We interview people that are currently operating at the highest vibration so they can provide you with the steps to help you rise and live your highest life now.
Thank you so much, Sherry. And thank you all for being here this evening. We're so excited to share this amazing and wonderful person's story out with you. We have Troy Hoffman on with us tonight. And so welcome to the show, Troy.
Hi, nice to meet you. I got to talk to Sherry for a very, very long time the other day, but I've not met you yet, so it's an honor to meet you finally. I've seen your picture. I looked at your little Facebook page saying, trying to connect, so...
Yeah, well, thanks to a little bit of technical difficulties, we didn't get an opportunity to chat before this. So I'm getting to know you a little bit along with everyone else, which is okay. It's part of the adventure. So we'll ride the wave.
Yes.
So one of the reasons we created this show was to help people create a high vibe life and just to share people's stories. So tell us where you grew up and just a little bit about the backstory of Troy Hoffman.
Let's see. It's kind of funny. I was actually texting with one of my friends that grew up in junior high. His sister. She's trying to save a horse farm right now. And can you hear me okay, Aubrey? Mm-hmm. Okay, just want to do mic check. And it's funny. It was very much like Huckleberry Finn lifestyle. Like very much. Like we lived by Cape Canaveral, Kennedy Space Center, and the house backed up to a giant swamp, basically, a massive wetlands everywhere. We literally drove boats to each other's houses, and we all kind of worked the most honest jobs you can imagine, from scrubbing barnacles off the bottom of boats to washing dishes, all that stuff, mowing lawns, detailing cars, to like all kinds of other salvage, wreck, diving stuff as kids, where stuff you would never let a kid do, like 15 years old with scuba tanks going 100-some feet down with like these blow-up bags, and you blow them up in the boat, and the boat rises to the top, and then you tow it back in, and the lifeguarding to all of that, right? And then, when I was graduating in high school, we built all these like little businesses, and then right out of high school, kind of got into massage, realized we weren't going to make any money, and kind of started this t-shirt business, which kind of blew up. And we did the Christian market, we did the kind of like surf and skate market a little bit, but more kind of was really tied to like the Christian youth world. We did all these conferences, and then from the youth conferences we were doing like all the product for, we got connected with like Brig Hart, who's a big Amway guy for anyone that was ever in Amway back in the day. And Brig was like a super supportive of us, so we started doing all the products for him, and then he told his other buddies that did these like, they'd fill up the Georgia Stadium, and so we'd sell all the T-shirts, hats, stickers, and make it all, and then do it. And then we built our own shopping cart, our own website for the T-shirt business, and then that kind of got us in building out back-end technology. We launched a company called Value Web, which kind of grew up around 95, when you kind of had to build your own shopping carts, and you kind of call the credit card company, figure out how to link and build like an old school API back to your website, and get it all to work, and everyone's trying to scramble to figure out how to make all this stuff work, and online sales were just happening, and so that's kind of how we got our start, and back in that time. So
okay,
that's awesome. Yeah. I love it. So you didn't go to college after high school, or did you?
Well, so I was really great at building things and getting them going. I was terrible at running them, and ended up going bankrupt at 24, and I actually did a post about this. I actually found some image somewhere, and I saved it on my phone like a year ago, and I was just showing to somebody like, oh, you should talk about it, because everyone else is good. Like, there's so many people being challenged right now in business, and just kind of talk about the experience of what it was like going bankrupt, and like kind of like August of that year, I ended up going bankrupt around 24 years old. And I'm looking at you, you're up here, and Aubrey's right here, and then the camera's down here. So, and ended up going bankrupt at 24, and that's when I decided I better go to college and figure out how to run a business. So I got degrees in like multinational finance, performance management psychology, like this master's certificate in performance management psychology. I was like, how do you motivate people in the workforce, basically using applied behavior analysis, and kind of went to college in about 2.5 years, got a few degrees. owned a day spa while I was in college, bartending, waited tables at night at like a fine dining place, and it was just fun. I mean, it was really kind of fun, and then left
Did
that
you
and
eat
moved to.
and sleep?
No, I didn't sleep much, and so not at all. I almost forgot about today. I was going to shave, but I haven't shaved for a couple of days. Thank God I shaved my neck today at least. I just kind of given up the shaving thing every day recently. So I was like, I totally forgot we were doing this today.
You
and I'm looking at the calendar.
You and a lot of other
crap.
people.
So
here's our good friend Bob Donnell.
Bob, all right. Bob, I got your message, Bob, and I have not
on.
even watched the video yet, Bob. It's been busy. Sorry. So,
Bob, did you shave today? You know, it's funny how many people I think, you know, have been in this mode of just like barely maintenance because we're not having to go out and do the things we did before.
So, lead on, Miss Sherry.
So, yeah, so kind of where did you go from there? So when you, after, you know, as you're going through this bankruptcy and trying to get your life back on track.
Well, the bankruptcy sucked.
What was that like?
Well, the bankruptcy was bad because we had like all these people working for us. Actually, there's a couple of people that still work here today that have worked with me on and off for 25 years. They were part of that company. There's one guy living in Peru right now, Mac. He was helping during that time too. He's back with us and been working for the last 9-10 years. And man, it was just sucked. I mean, that's all it is. It's like, it's devastating everything about you when you kind of like lose everything. And it's just like, okay, well, and not only that, but I also was part of the church world a little bit. I kind of lost that at the same time. And I just didn't know how to handle it. I didn't have good coaches. Weren't really good mentors. So you kind of have to kind of find your way. And thank God I'd read so many books. I read I would devour like the books and tapes on the lifeguard towers and driving around in the car. I started around 17 listening to all this stuff from Amway. Like Amway was great, books, tapes, and functions, right? And that gave me that kind of like, okay, this sucks, but I know there's still a greater purpose. There's still a greater calling. There's still like hope. Like everyone goes through this. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to find the next thing. And I was able to quickly transition to just going to college, started a day spa there. We had like massage and estheticians, you know, during the day. And I found a cool partner in this really awesome old house. We converted and painted the walls. And it was really beautiful, like aesthetically, the way the whole thing looked. It was called Massage at Fifth Avenue. And we launched that. I was able to sell that, my portion out to her, moved to California, start this company out here with this other guy. Didn't work out 3 years, 10 months later, but we'd grown it from like 0 to almost 5 million during that time. We kind of parted ways, and then I started this company that we're at today. And then this company, in the first like 4 or 5 years, made the Inc. 500 list several times. We're in the top 200 fastest growing companies in 2011 in America. And yeah, so now we stopped growth. It was too much growth, too crazy. I focused on building software systems, management systems, pay for performance systems, really trying to figure it out. And every time you kind of move forward, you kind of fall back. And you move forward, you fall back. And it's just like you're trying to figure it out to really get something solid so you can scale again with all the infrastructure. And actually, but not scale just to scale, but to really impact lives in the process. Like we had our monthly meeting today. We had a guest speaker, Glenn Depke. We should get Glenn on this show. He ran Dr. Mercola's clinic for him, and Glenn's part of the supplement company we're building right now. And we're building the supplement company, helping architect the product line. So we have like a high-end product line in the testing side as we have money to keep building it out. You know, Glenn's in part of that. He travels and speaks on behalf of Dr. Mercola. So we had him come in, record it, talk to the staff. Everyone's on the Zoom meeting, and kind of right over this way, this whole room opens up to a giant room here. And so we can have a lot of people show up, and, you know, and it's a way of just constantly pouring content in people's minds, right? Because we unconsciously don't know what we don't know, right? And until someone opens up our minds, that like unconscious incompetence thing, right? So we're constantly doing stuff like that, doing the book readings here. And how do you architect that into a company to make it sustainable too? Not just try to do it for 3 months, but literally keep these programs running year in, year out, year in, year out. And so we grow not only myself, but everybody around me in the process, because you can't rise. You can only rise to the highest level of the lowest level person involved in an organization that may be dragging it down. So you're trying to bring everybody up with you in the process. So that's kind of what we're happening here.
So let's take you back for a second, because I want to talk about the layers of Troy Hoffman. You talk about these different, areas that you were passionate in, and that you kept being led to the next business and the next opportunity. Now, what was happening in the mindset of Troy when you're going through these different stages, whether it was the spa or the t-shirt business? Because that's what we really want to help people to connect to here. How did you, through each stage of yourself, keep dealing with your mindset?
No, I was lucky. I mean, I was really lucky, actually. Like, my dad he never made a lot of money, but he was very intelligent. Like, my grandmother had built this, like, she was like one of the first, I mean, actually my grandmother's father laid the transatlantic cable, but she was like the bastard child of his mistress. So she never really got to see her dad much beyond like a little kid. But she went off and went to college. Like, she interviewed 2 different sitting presidents in their hotel room. She built this clothing company that became massive. They had stores up and down the whole East Coast of, in New Jersey, along the shoreline in New York and Maine, and then South Florida. And she built this whole thing up from scratch by herself. And she was like really good at like kind of like pouring into me as a kid, even like busting my chops a lot, right?
Wow.
Like, imagine a Huckleberry Finn with like a grandmother. Like, that was very intense. But she had these cool travel stories, and I saw her in businesses. It's just like, oh, this is something that people do. My dad built his chiropractic shop. He had an electrical contracting business where they did malls, and I kind of grew up around people just kind of were entrepreneurs. Like, I mean, my 6th grade on in this place called Merritt Island, Cocoa Beach area, Cape Canaveral, everybody was like, either their parents worked at the Space Center or they ran their own like pet shop or something, right? So you just kind of grow up around it, where it's not even, it's just like, oh, this is what you do. You don't work for a giant corporation. You kind of build your own thing. So I got lucky in that. And then I got lucky my dad was always because of the chiropractic, into personal development, right? So he was trying to listen to these Larry Markham tapes in chiropractic and Markham on management for chiropractors. And I think, Sherry, maybe you might have been around that in your workout days, in your fitness days. And, and so we'd go to those things as a kid. And when I got suspended in school for doing bad things, I'd be forced to go to these like neurology seminars. I'd be forced to go to these like chiropractic conventions and just hang out. And you just hang out with a bunch of people that are pretty motivated. And then you get the Amway thing. You start listening to the books, tapes, and functions. It's why you watch shows like this. It's why you get around people like you. It's why we get around these people, because it's like eating healthy food. You got to eat healthy diet of inspiration. Eat a healthy diet of like these books, these tapes. Or I'm dating myself. I sound really old now. So there's people listening that have never heard of a tape. So, but it's like it feeds us. You have to constantly, and it never ends. Like, it's why I hang out with Bob Donnell, and I was part of Bob's group for 8 years or something. Like, because you can't when you find these people that inspire you and fuel you, you stay around and you keep digesting and get more and more. And then as you get it, you also give it to others in the process, and it keeps you excited. And then you kind of and I think you naturally learn to think a different way when you start reading the books. You read the biographies about people that have excelled in a specific area, and I think that's what kind of fed me. It's like, oh, I read these different Armand Hammer, and like where he started out with his like parents' pharmacy and his ginger farm. Like, oh, then he had this pencil factory in Russia, and the next thing you know, he owns Occidental Oil. And you see the progression of people's lives. And the more biographies you read, the more you understand the great things that happen to them, plus the crappy things, and it's just part of life. And the more you get around people like you, where you're sharing these messages, you're like, oh my God, like, I can do this too. And you're picking up something every time you watch something, every conference you go to, it becomes part of you, and it becomes part of your body, and it's inserted into you. And then when this shit happens, you're like, well, who gives a shit if coronavirus, sorry, who cares if coronavirus comes? Like, we'll make it through this too. Even if we lose everything, like Honda lost their factories multiple times in multiple wars, completely devastated Honda's factories, and they rose again to be one of the largest companies in the world. And these stories allow you to say, well, he can do it, I can do it, she can do it, I can do it. And it becomes part of our makeup. So I don't know if that answers the question, but.
Yeah, I love it.
That's so powerful. Well, and so what role do you think your faith has played in all of that?
You know what? Again, I got lucky. We kind of went to church as a little kid. Didn't go to church at all in like junior high or like late elementary, junior high, high school. You kind of have this like faith or something. You're kind of around it, and I got lucky to be a part of a great church world thing. And then when I built the T-shirt company, I literally got exposed to the entire church world. Everything from Methodist to Baptist to Catholic. I mean, we did products for everybody. And when you do products, it means you show up, you sell. You do their youth conference. You do their we did the Pentagraph Southern Baptist Convention. So you're around it all on all types of things. And then I also got lucky to be with my dad, who was kind of like a chiropractor but also like into like all these crazy modalities 40 years ago, right? He was into red light therapies. He was into, his clinic was like a 6,000 foot rehab center where they had, 10 stretching beds. They had the detox, infrared saunas, like all this stuff back before no one, making people trying to drink veggie drinks before now they wait in line for 30 minutes at Nectar's to do it. You had to almost pay his clients to do it back then, right? So we'd go to these hippie retreats with like these people. We had one guy, his name's Shovelman Tom, would crash at our house. He literally had a shovel around his neck with his keys on it. But he was like the number one fastest walker in the world or something. He was really in super breath. He was like super breatharian world. And another guy would crash at our house. Or looked like scraggly hair, and he had created this salve that the FDA kept shutting down his plants to cure cancer, skin cancer. And like we had all these hippie people around us. One guy would come over and just do breath work with my dad. And then again, when I got in trouble in school, I'd go to like these retreats and we'd send like whole pants and our light into the sky. So I kind of got exposed to a wide depth and breadth of different subjects. So I think I got lucky in that sense, where most people don't get exposed to any of this stuff. So.
Yeah, it's
love that.
Say that because, remember, I come from the health club industry too, because I ran personal training programs for the health club industry. And then I eventually owned my own health club and had supplements and all that kind of stuff too. And, there's a thing that you learn from being around these sorts of environments like you're talking about. And one of the things people always ask the question is when you don't have that type of environment that you've grown up with and you've had these lucky breaks and stuff like that, what would you tell those kind of people who are right now, let's say they're, in their teens or even their early 20s and they want to go out and be an entrepreneur? How can they shift their mindset if their environment is completely different than, what you grew up with?
Well, I think they're lucky now. And if you're watching this today and you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to build your own company, if you want to succeed, like right now, there are literally thousands of great people on Instagram. There are thousands of people on Facebook putting out great content. You can just Google the word and just start watching the free content out there. Watching shows like this, getting out there and finding the people that resonate with you, that are doing something that inspires you, at least in this point in your life, whatever it is. People say, oh, you're materialistic because you want to go to a car, or you're too faith-based because you want to help churches, or whatever it is. Don't care about what other people say. See what that drive inside of you that's going to motivate you to go do something, and start watching, digesting, and reading all the content you can online right now. Because there's never been a greater time in this world to be an entrepreneur. There's never been a greater time in the history of the entire universe of our world and earth to be an entrepreneur, where the laws are great. The people are not stealing your money like back in the 1300s, where the king would just come through and say, oh, sorry, that land's not yours anymore, after you spend your entire generation, the generation before you and the generation before that, building that property up. Like and especially being in America, you've won the lottery. If you're watching this today, there is no excuse not to do something. It's going to be painful. It's going to be hard. It's going to be the most difficult thing you've ever done. But I guarantee you the results, if you stick with it, the results, if you find a dream, you find a passion, like go after that. Even if you have to go work for other people and learn from another entrepreneur, and do whatever you have to do to finance yourself, wait tables at night, bartend, go mow lawns, whatever you have to go do, sooner or later, the other thing will surpass what you had to do to get what you want to do. So I think that would be kind of the more specific answer right now.
Beautiful. Thank you. Wow.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, and I think one of the other things that you hit on there is that it's really important to have leaders in your life and to have mentors. And so can you tell us a little bit about the people that really had an influence on you?
So I say like my dad, number one, that was huge. He was very, I mean, even he built this boat dock idea, that kind of like a tilt boat thing. It was like no one else had ever built anything like it. And he just kind of crank it up and it would just bring it out of the water. And it was ideas like that. Just like we built, like he had a whole garage full of tools that just allowed us to go play and go settling torches. You don't give 12-year-olds settling torches, by the way, bad idea. But he just let us have access to all this stuff. So he was very creative. My grandmother doing what she did. My buddy Jared's dad, he built this huge fence company, had a yacht. I remember when I was 13, this 100-foot yacht parked along the river, and it was just watching what they did. He was in the hospital recently. When I was visiting, I went to go see him. And he just had fun in his life. And Jared's dad was very impactful. And then, in the church world, you meet all these great leaders. And I volunteered to be a driver because I read the books and tapes in Amway. And I was like, well, how do I meet these authors? So I started volunteering at the Orlando Convention Center to go drive and pick people up. And I met Mark Victor Hanson when I was like 13 at a conference, chiropractic convention. So I got to be his driver when he was in Orlando. And you start getting around these people, and you're like, wow, these people are amazing. And you pick them up, you pick up, oh God, what's Dan's last name? He's the big gray hair marketing genius. I'm going to go blank on his name, but you hang out with these people. It's just crazy. I got to be a chauffeur while this guy, Peter Daniels, was in America. And Peter J. Daniels, he's out of Australia. I got to work for him and Rabina while they were here. Not even work, just volunteer, and just carry their bags, pick them up, take them here, get their food, carry the coat, get the boxes, pick the boxes, put the boxes away, set the table up. You know what I mean? Be around them, and because of that, you learn what Peter J. Daniels did. The guy who, and by the time he dropped out of school in third grade, he couldn't read and couldn't write, was a bricklayer, had a couple kids, and gets saved at the Billy Graham crusade. And he committed, a couple of goals in his life. One was try to give away more money than anyone else had given away. It was one of his goals. But he's broke. He's illiterate, couldn't read, couldn't write. And when you're around that guy that now has authored, 10 books, he was worth hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. He built this huge real estate empire. He travels the world speaking. He works with the World Bank. He works with South Africa, and he worked with Mandela. And he had accomplished all these great things. And you just pick up little things. Like he turned around to his wife when we're driving, and he'd be like, hey, Rabina, where do you think our son's at? And he's on a plane, and just watching that interaction, hear how he talks. When you go to a restaurant, he would just take his feet and slam it on the table and say things like, don't spend more on these than you do on this. And he's like, he would spend all his money on books and tapes and functions. And that's why he became the man who he is today. Instead of investing in the clothes, instead of investing in all the things he could have, he made money. He spent more money going to more seminars. And that's why he came to America to do the seminars, to give back for free, because, all these people that poured into his life from America, he wanted to pour back in America because of the books, the tapes, Charlie Tremendous Jones, all these old school speakers and authors and motivators that were pouring into people. So it was just great to be around that.
Wow, that's awesome. I love you sharing that, because, that's been a way myself, that even having you on the show as a guest, our good friend Joe Ingram and of course Bob Donnell both know you very well. And so, I got to train early with Bob Proctor and Mary Morrissey as a life management consultant. And even my very first mentor was Michael Beckwith from the movie The Secret. And this was way before the movie The Secret ever came out. But one of the things that they always said to me was, the quality of questions you ask yourself determines the quality of life you live. And so the better I got at questions, and it's so funny because when Bob Donnell showed up in my life, he came with that same saying. And then now all these circle of people are showing up in mine and Pam's life. And we're just shooting to the moon and, vibing high here. But my question to you is, what about all these other people? They want to meet those kind of people too that you've just been describing, and they say, I'm just an average person. How would you speak to them in a way that they could meet those kind of people too and be surrounded by those kind of people?
We have a couple ways. One, you find where they're at and where they're going to be. And I think you volunteer, whatever level you're at, and you kind of earn your way into it. You kind of do. You kind of say, "Hey, I've done enough to go to that event. I made enough money here to go pay for this event." And you start buying tickets to the events, right? You go to the whatever ticket to whatever event, and there's so many events that are so free and cheap now. Like Grant Cardone's 10X was like, I think, super inexpensive, right? If you're in that event, just the number of people you bump into, let's say there. I mean, like. There was something in the desert. I forget what it was called, but like there's a lot of inexpensive tickets that people are putting on today. Events have dropped the prices so much for the 1, 2, and 3 day events. I would just spend my money and go to those events because you're going to find the people that you need to find at the time you need to find them in your life. But you've got to be willing to, once you're there, willing to hear and ready to change. If you're not willing to hear and ready to change, it's not going to mean anything to you at the moment. So when you're there, I think that's the main thing is like you've got to be grabbing it again. You've got to say, I'm going to spend the time to get around those sets of people, right? And the other crazy thing is there's actually a lot of like legit entrepreneurs, people that are actually extremely accessible that aren't Steve Jobs, but they're killing it. They're worth hundreds of millions of dollars. You know what I mean? And they're like pretty accessible. Like it's pretty random. Like you can find people that I was emailing with this guy, Eric, today. He's got, I don't know, I think they got 1,200 employees now, right? In an IT tech company, and the average salary is probably 150 or whatever in that realm right now. And we're just emailing. We're trying to get a friend of ours in a group called EO, Entrepreneurs Organization, right? It's a great organization. Bob spoke there many times. He was actually our #1 speaker ever at EO, ranked and scaled up. So it's kind of like getting around those people, and he's got time to try to help a guy that's just trying to get a business over the $1 million line right now and to join EO. And I don't know how many hundreds of millions of dollars this company's worth now, but he's got the time. And that's the funny thing is like, I can't tell you the number of times in the last week, 2 different entrepreneurs on this other call said, hey, they had a problem, booked it for the weekend for a 2-hour time to meet with them. And they both flaked. They didn't charge. They just volunteer and help them. But they're still going to spend the time doing the same issues. So it's those that are hungry, that want the time, can get the time. But you've got to really actually want it. And then when you get it, you better do something with it or you never get the opportunity again for a long time. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to say that. Like a lot of people like say they'll show up and they'll say they want to change, but very few people are willing to do the work. Yeah, emotionally, physically, spiritually. Physically is my weak area. I'm working on changing even now as I speak. Sure, but I'm not as intense about doing the work on the physical aspect when it comes to like working out every day and doing that as much as I am on the business or on the personal development side. I was on the phone today with a lady named Laura, and we're talking about true transformation work, what it really takes, and the deep NLP work, the deep Byron Katie work, the deep journaling work, the deep coaching with like Barbara Brennan style work, or the deep, those who are great with hypnosis are trying these different modalities to get the deep change. Not a lot of people will say they're willing to do the work, but not a lot of people are actually willing to actually go do the work. I think that's the challenge, and those opportunities come up when you're willing to do the work, and then people start appearing out of nowhere. I mean, just randomly, literally out of nowhere, they will show up. I promise you. I know it sounds like the corniest thing everyone always says. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I swear to God, it works for whatever reason it does. It is the truest thing ever. They just pop in your life like Bob Donnell or something, So, you go, Sherry.
I love that. Yeah, no, that's so great. And, I think it leads us to sort of think about the energy, the clarity we have around what we really want and the energy we're putting towards that, and how committed we are. And so for you yourself, I mean, how do you feel like that supported you, having some clarity and really some passion about your direction in life?
I guess I process through other people like what direction should be my life. I think inherently all of us have something inside of us that kind of speaks to us in some way to go this direction of it's a fascination, it's an interest. Some people unfortunately have parents that squell it, or sisters or brothers or family members that crush these people's dreams. I don't care if you want to be a great lawnmower or you want to, whatever, you want to go hop in a boat and work on a fishing boat in Alaska. I've got friends that have done that. Like, it doesn't matter what your dream is or whatever. It's like, just go do it. Forget what other people say. And I think that's kind of one of the challenges. A lot of people always are trying to like, well, what are they going to think? Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the hardest things is people crush these people's dreams. So you got to be able to get like quiet and chill and just be by yourself and just. I get lucky to sitting on the lifeguard tower. You have a lot of time to think when these empty beaches go on, right? And you just have a lot of time to think. And it was just like, and then listening to the books, and you start picking up stuff that interests you, and it kind of starts taking you down this path. And I think that's the thing is kind of keep sticking with it. And I almost want to write this book called Economics of Endurance, explaining like it does take a long time. It does take consistent effort. It does take this process of going all the way to finish something, because most people quit in a month or two. You know, when I had the first t-shirt company, I was like 18, 19, and I was so freaked out. Like, we had all this success, and maybe on 19, 20, like all these other people started trying to like see what we were doing. We were making money. We had stuff. So even adults were starting their version of a t-shirt company that were around us. Like 5 or 6 or 7 things popped up. But it's funny, within 3 to 6 to 9 months, every one of them went out of business. Every one of them. And I was like, they just have the sustainability to keep going. They just have the ability just to like stay focused. Even here, like it's 13 years. 13 years in the making of almost going out of business every day for 13 years, just to even arrive at this point, taking all the money we made, investing in software to get to the next level, investing in building out more platforms and more management systems, trying to hire the best people we could and get the best coaches and recruit the best people we possibly can at each stage just to get to this point. And we're not even at the level of where we're going to be one day, but it's that daily, consistent, persistent habit in business. And it's 7 days a week, though, in entrepreneurship. If you're a 40-hour-a-week mentality, I don't know. I mean, there's all these hype books and like the 4-hour work week type stuff mentality, but I don't know anyone that's truly successful in business. I got a friend that's working 2 days a week, but he actually works 7 days a week. He actually does 2 days a week in the company, about another 5 days a week, working on himself, working on different ideas, working on the future. So he's actually still working on the company. He's maybe only involved in day-to-day 2 days, but the reality is he's taking calls and texts, and 7 days a week. It becomes your entire life. I think that's what people. But if you love it, it's okay. It just becomes something fun. It's not a work job where you're forced with a whip and by your parents to go mow the lawn. It's like, okay, I actually like doing this. I like showing up, I like creating things. I like moving things forward. And it becomes this passion that you do. Mm-hmm. And I think that's when you find whatever that is for you, it just becomes super easy to live in it and keep going every day. And it's going to take 3 years to realize if you're a genius or an idiot building anything. It's going to literally take 3 years. So stick it out for 3 years and then judge yourself after. See where you're at in 3 years and go all in 7 days a week for 3 years. Find the books, read Scaling Up, read the startup books, there's tons of great, there's so many things, like read all these things along the way. Make sure you're devouring a book a week. Make sure you're like getting on shows like this, watching shows like this, watching other people that are legit in some specific way where you need to change and you need to change it. You're like, I know I need to change this. Like, I know it. I just know it. So.
Yeah. That's so powerful.
Agreed. Absolutely. So let's talk about appearances. So right now, we're in a time where people are called to look inside or at least get clear about what they want. And so despite the appearances with the economy being the way it is, with the pandemic, COVID-19, people are stuck in the fear mindset. And at the same time, they're like, I can't go to work and, be in a job right now. So what could they do right now to move in the direction of a greater, grander idea they have, in the field that they want to move into?
I think it's different. If you're in a corporate environment, if you're in a job where I worked for this one guy who owned a huge piece of property with all these trees on it. And I pruned the trees, and I dug and he had like a landscaping business, and he put in these giant palm trees, and we did the sprinkler systems. But if he was shut down, I would not have work, right? Mm-hmm. So for those people that are in the normal job world, it's difficult. I mean, that's just straight up. I mean, if you've been watching Netflix for the last 10 years and you're not reading all the books already, this is your wake-up call. That's kind of the reality. Like, if you're not saving the money, if you're not building out systems, and if you're not learning something new in your life to add value in other ways and have the opportunity to create, like, those who are valuable are still valuable. You know what I mean? If you've created a lot of value for yourself, you're going to be valuable in this market right now. We're looking for a marketing director. Like, we're looking for someone high end that's on point. Like, there are people still moving things forward. And even if the whole economic crashes, people are going to still need systems. They're going to need people. They're going to need services. They're going to need stuff always. And if we have to go back to basic and go up again, it'll come back around. But the question is, where are you really at then? Like, if you're sitting at home and you're like, oh, I can't find any work whatsoever, well, now's the time to start reading. Now's the time to start studying. Now's the time to start going online and I mean, there's so many online universities. So much is free. I mean, MIT puts out so many free courses. Like, go Google what you're interested in, start studying and reading. Like, that's what I'm doing. I'm literally writing this book called The History of Class Action right now. And there's just so much knowledge out there that's just free. And you start digging into these different areas. I think that's where you need to be, because if you're in a place where you're scrambling now, and it's only been 6 weeks. Like, if you're broke in 6 weeks, now it's time to change. Now it's time to wake up. Like, now it's time to say, get the book from Michael G. Isom, What Would the Rockefellers Do? It's called, right? And it's by Michael G. Isom and Garrett Gunderson. And it's all about, putting money away long term, infinite banking system, whatever you want to call it. The whole life policy is putting money away so you can pull it out and borrow from yourself and then buy your car with that and all this type of stuff, right? But now's the time to get the vision, because, man, if you don't have the vision for it, you're not going to do it. So if you haven't had the parents that had the money, well, it's great. No, not many people actually do. In reality, my dad and mom working both together, and with all these, he was a chiropractor, neurologist, internal medicinist, clinical nutritionist, all wrapped up in one guy, never made more than $100,000 a year. Wow. Him and my mom together. He was a hippie clinic. He gave everything away for free to save the world. And he wasn't the money, but he was good in the health side because of his own issues. He was sick as a kid. He got injections. It blew out his immune system. He was healthy till he got the injections. Blew out his immune system, lost all his hair, zits all over his body. By 17, finds a chiropractor around 20-something, learns about natural health, changes his life. Doctor told him he'd dead at 30. He had 1 year to live. Sat my brother and I down. So I got 1 year to live. Starts going to Mexico. Starts finding alternative therapies. And then he even died till he was like 69 because of that, right? And that was his path. His passion was his own health and his own issues, and learning it to help other people. And so I think the pain of the past gives you the possibilities of the future. And so we got almost to figure out where the pain in our life is that we don't want to experience, and then go learn about that and how to solve for that. And that opens the doors up for people, and they can start creating the opportunities for them. And if we go in this a month, if we start going in 2 months, and we start going in 3 months with people, then, most of us are only prepared about 3 months out in reality. So now this is probably going to say, hey, when you start preparing 12 months out fully, and even I'm going like, okay, we've only got this much of a runway that we've built for ourselves. So I've got to go study more. I've got to learn more. I got to figure out how to change my mindset around saving up 12 months of everything now. So for the next time this goes like this, right? And it could happen again. I mean, who knows where this is going? But this is the time that we've got to keep reading, keep learning, keep watching. I mean, I devour content all the time so that way, and I get around this group called CEO Coaching Internationals, like the guy that ran Mars, the guy that ran a $1 billion mortgage company, the guy that, like, they're all part of these companies. One guy that's my coach has 2,500 employees. And I get around Jason. I'm like, Jason, what are people doing? What is he hearing? What is he seeing? How is he addressing things? How is he structuring his companies? How's he laying off people? What HR process is he going through? And we're just sharing notes back and forth on what we're doing. And you're constantly getting around people that are doing something. So if you're broke right now and you literally have no hope of a job or anything else right now, get on the unemployment. Like there's plenty of money right now in unemployment to sustain you in some way, shape, or form. You're going to have to change your living expenses. You're going to have to go online and spending all day stuff Netflix, unless you're watching a biography or something that's going to inspire you. But stop the random shows. Literally start going online and devouring a subject that matters to you. Literally start reading it, studying it, taking the notes, figuring out where in the world you could use your time and talents to grow in that specific area. Start calling people, start getting on Zoom calls with them, start networking like crazy, because somebody has a need out there. And it doesn't matter if you're a group of people are in any situation, they may know somebody. They may cut the lawn for this guy. They may have been the dishwasher for this guy. It doesn't matter. Somebody somewhere, you make enough calls often enough, you will get through to the person that's going to change your life. And I think that's what you need to do, is make sure you're doing it every day and night, every day and night. Every day you're waking up, you're going on a walk, you're doing some type of workout, you're eating healthy all day. You're getting off the sodas, you're getting off the crap, you're getting off the junk food right now, because now is not the time to have low energy. Now's the time to have high energy. And if you don't know how to eat healthy, Google it. I mean, like, we have everything is so available with Google. That's what's so amazing now. So, sorry, Albert.
I think that's.
Keep going.
No, I think that's really great information. I mean, I think sometimes when we get in that place, where we just kind of don't see, it's hard. Sometimes it's just, you're at the bottom and it's hard to see up from there. It's like, or the light at the end of the tunnel. And so just having some, encouragement to move in that direction, to step towards the things that you want, even if it's one step at a time, to know that it matters if you take that one step.
So, yes, and you got to take that one step every day, all day. And people are like, well, I don't know what to do. Well, I'm sure if someone asked you directly, like, what do you know to do? If you did know what to do, what would it be? Back to NLP. And you ask yourself these questions. Well, what can I possibly do? Write it down. What are the ideas? And start doing it. And if you don't know how to do something, Google it. And it kind of goes over and over again. But, get around the motivational cassettes. Get around the motivational speakers. They're unlimited. Type in the word motivation into YouTube and go watch. And spend all day for the next 7 days. I guarantee you're going to come up with something in 7 days. Like, you've got to feed yourself. No one's going to feed you. Everyone, like, you have to take self-accountability. You got to take self-responsibility right now. It's not the government's fault. It's not someone else's fault. It's us. Like, we got to be. Are we at cause or are we at effect? We've got to be responsible for us. And if you can take responsibility for yourself, that's when things will really excel. Like, I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. And if you know that poem by William Helmsley, like, it's just beautiful in that sense. Like, you've got to be in control of your life, no matter how dark it is. When, darkness from pit to pit. I mean, this darkness, this heaviness, and you hear the background story of what happened in his life when he wrote that. It's like, in the darkest days, you've got to be your own master, your own captain, your own leader, your own person. No one's coming to rescue you. The government's not, your neighbor's not, your parents aren't. No one's coming to rescue you. It's you on your own. It's you that's got to rescue you. It's you that's got to rise for you. It's you that's got to lead your family, your people, your friends, your kids, your parents, whoever it is. It's you. We're leaders, not saviors, too. We've got to lead ourselves, not try to save people when we can't even save ourselves.
Right.
And I think that's kind of part of it, is like, how do we take true self-accountability in this process? Because from there, you can change something. There, you put it on yourself. There, you say, I can do whatever is required to lead my people. I will do whatever is required to lead my family. I will do whatever is required to lead myself in this process, not blame, blah, blah. That is it.
Eric Swanson.
Mr. Swanson, thanks, Eric.
No, I fully agree, because even, when I hit bottom in my life in 1997, I had to take accountability for the choices that Sherry had made. But I had that inner deep desire, because in my situation, I was shown what my purposes were. And that was what gave me the drive, even though the circumstances were challenging and I had setbacks. I ended up walking homeless on the streets. I took accountability. And what really, really started to change for me is I began to live in the moment, because it's in the moment that I could address where my mindset was. So if I was in that old way of behaving or undervaluing myself, I could actually look at that. And I use NLP. I'd go, stop, and put the hand up, because for me, the NLP was the stop sign. And then I'd thank it. I'd say, you know what, thank you, but you're not going to stay here very long. And then I'd, learn to start identifying with who I really was. You have great value. You have so much to offer people. You can help them with their nutrition programs. You can help inspire them about who they truly are on the inside, and how the inside is what creates the outside. And I started to shift that way of thinking. And then guess what? These amazing people and new teachers and new mentors started to show up. And my environment began to look totally different than, 1997, I'm hitting bottom and living with the Italian mafia in Las Vegas.
I love that story. I think it's crazy. It's awesome.
Yeah. But I love what you're saying. And so many of the books, it's so interesting, because I'd walk into a library and the books in the library would literally reach out to me. It was almost like they illuminated. And I know this is that airy fairy woo woo we talk about, the angels and the butterflies and all that cool fun.
I don't know that world. That's your Colleen Gallagher. That's Colleen's world.
Right. But because I'm silly and playful and fun. That's the true spirit of Sherry. And so I like to invite that laughter and fun. But seriously, the books would show up and it was like they would say, read me.
And you devour them. You just naturally devour it. So when we're trying to force ourselves to do things we're not called to do, it's difficult. Like when we do what we're called to do, or we feel inspired to do, it becomes very easy. Like if I try to read a business book right now, I'm like, oh, I'm so bored. I was super excited to learn all about the Queen Elizabeth from the show The Crown, and really dive into all of British history right now, and to read about the Channel Islands and the different economic system now, how people from England would use their tax system to to find a more alternative way of paying taxes, and studying this stuff, right? It's fascinating to me right now. It's such an obscure thing, but it's easy for me to read volumes of stuff instead of trying to read another business book right now. I'm reading this one book I like called Attached. And if you guys have heard of it, read it, it's great in relationships. I love it. Those are easy to listen to and easy to read, but trying to read another, something random that I'm not into, it's just go with what you're into right now. It's okay. It'll lead you somewhere, I promise. And everything leads you to something that you're really into that's actually adding to you. How do we think different? How do we act different? How do we do different, right? And if we find any of these skill sets, it's all about skill sets and mindsets, right? Everything we do is about skill sets and mindsets. So what are we doing to shift these two things every day? Those things will lead us somewhere, I promise, to whoever's listening to this. You will find amazing things happen. So
awesome.
I think that's such a great point, because I think a lot of people do, they think, I don't really have that much to offer, or I don't have a special skill, or I don't know what my gifts are. And it sounds to me like you're saying everyone has a gift. Everyone has some kind of talent or something that is unique to them that they can share with others.
100%. Anybody can be a nobody to a somebody. Anybody can go from nothing to something. Anybody can be more if you're willing just to be yourself. It's okay to be normal. It's okay to be average. It's okay not to be some superstar. Just be you. Be the best version of you. And that will turn into something else. So you don't have to try to act or fake, or maybe you have to fake it till you make it in some way if you're trying to sell a business idea and you don't know anything behind it yet, but you're trying to go for it. It's okay. But otherwise, just be you. It's okay to be you. People will love you. They will love who you are. They'll love your energy. They'll love your passion. They'll love whatever you're learning about. That's what people care about. And you'll find somewhere in you that greatness inside you. There's a seed of greatness in everybody. I just believe that. And I've seen it across. I was just in India for 3 weeks. Man, that Mother Miracle school I was in Rishikesh blew my mind. It was, these kids their parents make $100 a week. And and they're showing up at this school nicely dressed. They're $100 a month. Sorry, $100 a month. They're all sponsored kids to be part of the school. If you screw up, you get kicked out. These kids have learned programming, wrote their own computer program video game by themselves with no teachers, with hacked software, because they couldn't get free software from Microsoft, or none of the major companies they wrote to would give them the software, so they hacked it. And these kids were amazing volleyball players. They were disciplined. They were intelligent to no end. They were on point. I was just like so inspired that literally these kids are going to go somewhere. They would crush any of these kids the same age in America. They would dominate them. They would crush them. I got to spend a couple days with these kids. It blew my mind. And I don't know if you know where Rishikesh is, but Rishikesh is in northern India. The Beatles would go hang out there. I don't know if you guys know Anil Gupta. Anil and I actually crossed the river from the school. Well. Yeah, that's right. We talked about this. And Anil spoke yesterday. Yes. I love Anil. He's awesome. And Anil and I got to go speak at the largest ashram in India to a bunch, of different like styles of monks, and talk about entrepreneurship and building a life in these modern times, a random requests. But these kids blew my mind, and I was like, that's exactly what this world is based on, that somebody can grow up anywhere and become something. And that's where the biographies come in, and the stories and the history of people that went from nothing literally to something. You know what I mean? And it's intertwined from Genghis Khan till Steve Jobs and everything in between. Like literally, if you read the biographies, like you can see it. People had nothing who became something. So
I love that you shared that. Because one thing about Anil that's so amazing is, so I got to have an intimate dinner with Anil and 11 other people. It was him, myself, and 10 other people, so 12 of us. And it was for Secret Knock with Reid years ago.
That's awesome.
And the one thing he does is he creates happiness and laughter in everyone. So he'd put on the big red nose, right when he saw you, the big red nose, to create laughter. And so one of the things I told him when he did that is, so I struggled with meeting up to everyone's expectations, and I wanted so badly to be myself.
Yeah.
And I was like, people say, oh, Sherry, you laugh too loud, or, oh, Sherry, your laugh is ridiculous, or, you're too over the top. And so, I'll be 55 in a couple weeks. And so one thing I love more than anything right now is recognizing my value and loving who I am. And it's funny because I met this guy named Jeffrey Dolmer years ago in Hollywood, and he was a Harlem Globetrotter, and he is also a fitness buff and into all that. And he met me in 10 minutes. And he that night he emailed me and he says, Sherry, he says, the 10 minutes I spent with you was the most valuable. Here's a song that I wrote for you. It's a 60-second song. And it kind of just goes, living to be, living to be, living to be the real me, climbing mountains as I begin again. I'm not a good singer, but the point of it is that we all have that. And I love what you're sharing.
So what else can I do to add value today for you guys? Like it's been awesome being on the show. Like yes. You two are great. Like I love that you're doing this. I love that you're pushing this out. I wish there were thousands and millions of people doing stuff like this with each other. And I think there's so much in this industry of people doing stuff like this. Either people are judging people as wanting to take money from them, or they're fake to take money, or they're not really adding real value. But I think there needs to be another side of this space of like people that are really truly adding value and giving and serving. I feel like I get that from you guys. I feel like you guys are really out there just to elevate people and help people and impact people's lives and share the message. And I'm grateful that you guys are doing this and spending your time and your talents doing something like this. You know what I mean? Like, we need more people that are willing to step up and take the criticism from the world and take the arrows and take the shots and the hits to say, no, we're going in this direction. We can be a better nation. We can be a better people. We can be people that rise up to a new level of thought, rise up to a new level of being, rise up to a new level of way of acting to impact other lives around us and our own in the process. And I just love that you guys are doing this. Like, I think it's fantastic, and I'm just super supportive of it, and grateful to be on the show. And you guys both have the best smiles. I love it. It's great to look at. And you guys are just so happy and great, peaceful in the being. So, and Sherry, I loved our time together the other day and hearing your whole story. It was absolutely fantastic. So what else can I do to serve or give today in any capacity that would be of help for anybody, you know?
Yeah. So if you had literally 60 seconds to leave a message today to the world right now, what would that message be?
Okay.
I think it's the old school quotes, like, for things to change, I must change. For things to get better, I must get better. Until I give my better till my better is best, and my best is better than the rest. For things to change, I must change. For things to get better, I must get better. Till I give my better till my better is best, and my best is better than the rest. Because if we don't change, the things around us won't change. People will live in more fear. If we don't change and lift up the 5, 10, 15, 25, 30 people around us, we'll keep going down and not come back up. If we don't change, it doesn't matter. We're not going to be able to live a higher life. We're not going to be another person in this world, be able to grow ourselves up, plus everybody around us. And nothing works unless we change. So for things to change, I must change. For things to get better, I must get better. Not the governor, not the beach officials, not the president, so many people are blasting all these other people instead of turning it inward and say, where do I need to change? What do I need to do?
I love this guy. I receive. Thank you. So how can people get a hold of you?
We've got Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. At Hoffman Troy for Instagram, TroyHoffman.com. You can go to reach out. Like, honestly, like, there's LinkedIn. There's any way you're used to reaching out, connect. If we can help and serve in any way, let me know. If anybody wants to talk and hop on a call for 15, 20, 30 minutes or something, we'll go through your business or really talk through things, and we'll try to schedule a time somewhere on a drive or to or from when I'm going to work, or nights or early mornings or something. We'll go for a walk and talk and work on you. Like, if there's something specifically you really want to deal with, that you really want to work on, let me know. Like, if you feel it resonated in any way where I can actually help in any way, there's a question, shoot me text, do whatever, make sure you get a hold of me and try to get me on the calendar. So we can talk and see what resources I can point you to through our vast resource network of things that may help get you to that next thing, or help expose what you can't see, or go through the process of your growth. So
love it.
That's amazing. And it has been such a joy to have you here. So much generosity of spirit is just, that's what's coming to me as I'm sitting here. What a blessing. I feel like it's really just been a blessing to be here with you, to share this time with everyone that's come on tonight. And just to know that this message is going out there to people, that, they're hearing these messages of encouragement, and it's just so powerful. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Aubrey.
Yes.
Hey, sure.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much. So grateful for you.
Yes. So love you guys. Thank you for having me on. You guys are awesome. Reach out, either you two too, if you guys want to talk through anything as well. Like, let me know.
Thank you.
We can always do a whiteboard session here, Sherry, and work with Colleen.
Don't go away after we end the live.
Yeah, don't go away for a second. So I want to thank each and every one of you here on the High Vibe Nation. We love each and every one of you. Thank you for sharing this out. We can't wait till our next show, which is with Dr. Atil on Monday night at 5:00 p.m. So please make sure you get your reminder for that. You can visit us on the highvibenation.com, and please also like us on the High Vibe Nation on Facebook. So until Monday night at 5 p.m., go out and create an amazing rest of the week. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
Woo.